Welcome to the polemic pool, everyone. This is Grand Rapids, Michigan. It is the dead of winter. We are all sick freaks in the cold, and we came out together to record this because we love you that much.
Well, I don't love you that much, Laura.
That's it?
That's it?
Laura
Well-
Castelletto, Jerry Bowes, saying, "Who are you?"
Steve Anderson, and I am so pleased to be with you two for our first episode for 2015?
For 2015,
Well, what a better, nice group to be with.
yep. First meeting in January.
Click.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And I guess it was my turn to pick the topic.
Okay.
And I thought I'd pick something dealing with the new year, since this is our first session in 2015. And my thought was to do a little prognostication, that is, to project into the future a little bit. I've asked my cohorts, Laura and Steve here, and myself, to come up with a positive trend in 2015 and a negative trend in 2015. So I'm going to launch off and state mine, and then Laura and Steve are going to state theirs, and then we're just going to have a round robin, have at it, and whatever comes to mind about what we've just said. So my negative for 2015 is that I think
Notice
once
he
again,
always starts with a negative.
so I can end on a positive. My negative for 2015 is that I believe that we are once again going to march down the road of destroying somewhere between 10,000 and 50,000 species on the planet, much like we did this past year and in any number of years prior to this. We are a plague on this planet. We are killing off the abundance of species on this world at a fantastic rate. We are eliminating biological choice in our world. And so I think, and it comes from a variety of factors, and we can get into it if you want, but that's my negative for this upcoming year. And now for my positive. Normally, we shy away from politics, but I had the damnedest time trying to find a positive trend in 2015 that I thought realistically would happen. I had to set my sights pretty low, so I turned to politics. And I'm thinking that one thing for me, because this is ultimately very subjective, the positive for me is that I think because it's going to be a political year, people lining up for the next presidential election, that there's going to be some progressive voices that are going to come out of the woodwork. And it's going to be Bernie Sanders, it's going to be, who was that gal again? She's slipped my mind. But there's going to be other progressive voices.
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren's going to be speaking on, and I think there's going to be others as well, putting some pressure on the Democratic Party to give voice to the progressive movement. They've been pretty quiet backing Obama, and I think they're pretty mad at him, actually. And I think that a good thing, because I think there's going to try and have some solutions to some of our societal problems be put forth there, so that we can at least have some battering about it. I want to see the issues rise. That's why I think it's a good thing. So that's my good thing for 2015. How about you, Laura?
I think the opposite of you.
Shocked. I'm shocked.
Okay. I find you say that extinctions are the big minus, environment, and politics in the USA, you're hoping will be a big plus.
Hoping.
My minus, politics in the USA. I think that, and I'm going to start with the minus first as well. So you can take my plus as your minus, Steve. So I think that our biggest enemy of progress and any kind of decency and human rights and social values and economic freedom and future that is tolerable. The biggest block to that is this monolithic power we have that is corporation, bank, and government combined, just spying on us, torturing, colluding to steal money from the average citizen at an unprecedented rate, widening the gap between the poor and the rich to unprecedented levels.
Now, is this the bad news or the good news? Which are you giving us first?
I understand that dealing with heavy issues makes one want to be playful and laugh to relieve pressure, but I could go on with more that I want to lay at the door of these large institutions that I feel are a huge, huge threat and a danger. Okay, but we'll stop with the minus and we'll go to the plus. The plus is also the reason that I think we have this danger of this huge minus, because I think the plus is better than the minus. It's more significant, and the plus is this game changer world that we are in right now, transition where we are moving to a place where we can much more freely communicate with others. We can find what we need. We can feel connected to other human beings, mostly through technology and the internet. And that in this progress, we have taken huge power away from the government, away from the very few voices that told us what to do and how to do it and what to think, and I want to be more clear for a sec.
No, it's actually the 2 points are pretty coherent. Yeah.
Okay.
And they actually work together.
But the game changers on the plus, before I'm done then, is the media, no longer controlled by this force. The finances are breaking loose. We've got currency that you can use on the internet that's no longer even dollars anymore. The music industry has become a much more place where you can once again sing songs about what you want to sing them about and put the messages in them you want and market them and make a living without being part of a machine that tells you what to do. Education, face of education is changing. Economics is clearly about to change. So the plus for me is the game-changing possibilities and the new things that are coming out. And then the minus is that the powers that be are going to double down in a crisis situation for them. Because these are crisis situations for those very few media-controlled outlets that dominate all of the airwaves and etc., and the very few companies that own most of the products that you buy for your house and stuff. They're going to double down to fight to stop all this progress. So I see that as quite an interesting time ahead, 2015.
Well, so far, I must say, I was hoping that I would get a few more provocative statements from my cohorts. Basically, what I'm hearing is the same redundant conversations that we've had in the past year, and now you're projecting them on 2015. So,
I like it. Take it to the next level.
I guess I was hoping that you would stick your neck out a little further. But hey, if you want to play it safe, that's fine. On a positive note, I predict, because that's kind of what you were asking,
right.
Make some predictions. I predict that we will have absolute quantitative, qualitative evidence that life exists beyond the planet Earth. It will be a game changer on several fronts, and the evidence will be so overwhelming, not that there aren't going to be people that are going to deny it. There are people that still deny that the Earth is elliptical. So, there's going to be that, but the evidence will be overwhelming. And I think that opens up a whole lot of things from a human exploration standpoint, whether you look at it psychologically, socially, what is that going to do for us as far as exploration out into space? Are we going to be able to communicate with these living entities? That remains to be seen, but I think we're going to have the evidence. Now that's the positive. The negative is I think we're going to find living things on other than the planet Earth. I think that is going to be a game changer for those that believe the Earth-based narratives that we all are kind of balmed by. We're assuaged by the feeling of being earthbound and the security that comes with it, and the fact that we are special on this special earth and we have these special entities that protect us. That will all have to be examined, re-examined, and talked about. So I think the good news is also the bad news. It just depends on what side of the coin you want to look at it. And at that note, that is my prediction for 2015. Instead of your mamby-pamby stuff.
You did, a step farther afield than I did. That's for certain. I was very safe. I looked at the past and projected from the past into the future. Nothing really new about either of my statements.
Right.
But it's more of a personal positioning, though.
Sure.
Of what I think. I'm just so miserably disappointed with our extermination of life on Earth that it raises my cackles. I'm exasperated. I have next to no power about it, but I see this process going on, and it disturbs me greatly. And so that's, on a personal level, that's why I brought it up. And as far as politics goes, again, pretty safe. Laura and I may have a disagreement, but I want to get to about the role of politics and its positioning and everything. But I'm kind of interested in your statement, Steve. I like that you jumped out there.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, where's your springboard? What's the evidence? Where's it going to come from? We've got a satellite that asteroid will be passing close to the planet later this month. Mm-hmm. We've got some missions out there, but I try and keep track of the scientific inquiries into life. We're looking for bioemissions in atmospheres through spectral analysis of exoplanets.
Exactly.
And that is perchance, maybe you think the evidence might come from that sort of analysis?
I think it'll probably be a convergence of a lot of different scientific methods, but with the kind of telescopes and the Hubble-like vividness and so many of these exoplanets being discovered, I think that at some point it becomes a numbers game. And because we have found so many exoplanets, that in 2015 we're going to get a hit. I guess the analogy, as poorly as it is if you play the lotto long enough and play enough numbers, at some point you may hit. And I'm guessing that in 2015 we're going to get a hit. And it's going to be earth-shattering, no pun intended. Actually, it was intended.
What do you think of that, Laura?
Now, one last thing, and I don't want to control this. Laura has always been kind of the human-centric person in the group.
Still am.
So when you say that all these species are going to either become extinct or become minimized, that would probably be good news for you, wouldn't it, Laura?
Okay, Jerry's worry it won't sell.
Probably not.
Because unless extinction threatens people right at their doorsteps, you can't make them care. So your worries are well founded. And Steve, the idea that it's a game changer, those same people who are going to happily wipe out all the species are not going to care if there's life on other worlds, because first there'll be probably 2 decades long process of denying that there is life on other planets, saying it's a hoax, and then if it's dumber than us, then we'll just discount it and we'll say we're still the most awesome things in the whole world, universe, whatever. So.
Well, that's why it's good news and bad news. That is why it's both, what is it, the Tale of Two Cities? It was the best of times and the worst of times. And that's exactly my argument that you just made for me.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
But there's always lots and lots of people living in the past.
Sure.
You know.
And still will. Yeah,
yeah, they're not kind of the game changers. They're the ones the game gets played on.
Exactly.
I don't think it would be a game changer unless it was some sort of sci-fi kind of scenario where we're actually contacted by somebody else.
Gosh, that would be so exciting.
That's the only way that would really push the people in any kind of broad, dramatic way. The scientific community will get excited, and some people will, will be, revel in that knowledge, and some people will reject it. For the most part, I don't see it as a game changer, unless something super dramatic were to happen.
Let's play with your idea for a second.
If I may, you make a good point, Jerry, but keep in mind when you look at evolution, a lot of evolution is gradational, and it's very minimal changes and adaptive kind of mutated things that change. But then all of a sudden there's these quantum changes that they found in evolution. So you may very well be correct. It may be just a gradational micro, bacterial life that we're going to find on Mars or whatever. Perhaps that is true. I still think that's a game changer, but I do agree with you. It could also be a quantum thing where we actually get some sort of communication coming. That would
we might find a whole planet
that
that's
would
sentient.
be so awesome, man.
The intergalactic police show up to tell us to cut out killing all the species on our planet.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because there are changes in the world of ideas more than anywhere else, and I'm making predictions that are about the world of ideas, and so are you, Jerry. So, are we ready for a quantum change in the world of ideas if we come across, not just a foreigner, not just a communist or a Muslim, but a true alien from another planet?
True alien.
What
are we ready?
What?
No.
Here's it. I love this kind of stuff because I love science fiction.
Oh,
I like getting into this kind of thing.
Polemic pull.
Here we go. I think it could be a great saving feature for humankind. In this regard, I think it would draw us together. The distinctions that you were talking about before, Laura, geopolitical, religious, would diminish in their importance.
It would have to.
It'd be a unifying factor, wouldn't it? I mean, we would stand as one.
Well, we would turn another light on,
Yes.
Idea-wise, be another light that we suddenly turned on.
Here's something
we're almost ready to parse the various lights. We are studying ourselves now in a way we never did before, right?
Right.
And always coming up with new things. And then here would come this other consciousness would be very different.
It'd be incredibly important. When we went to the moon, The
Yes.
camera turned around and took a picture of the blue marble Earth.
Yes. Yeah, that was.
And that had a dramatic impact. It wasn't even really recognized at the time, but there's been a lot of pontificating about that event and people recognizing that we are on planet Earth. We are a starship ourselves. This is it. You know,
Yes.
this little thing in the void.
Yes.
We got to see ourselves as a whole.
Yes.
And that had an impact on a lot of people. Maybe not the majority of people across the planet, but a lot of thinkers, a lot of doers, a lot of inventors. And it's helped in communication, in media, in other regards of drawing people together. Just imagine what if we actually had a visitor arrive or something where what kind of game, what unifying factor, just the sparks it would make in people's heads
Yeah.
and the directions we would go.
It'd be like being promoted from 3rd grade to college.
Yeah.
And you know, I think us three, and of course I can tell from the emotions that you're bringing out, and I feel the same way, and I think you do too, Laura. And then of course the opposite from other people, that house of cards that we have created, this human-centric story, this narrative that we have told generation after generation, that house of cards, even though it's going to be propped up, and there's going to be people that are going to argue, you know, and justify whatever, that house of cards is going to fall for some people. And there's going to be it'll be an interesting transitional period.
Well, it also destroyed civilizations.
Yes, well,
When civilizations considered themselves the center of the universe, and then were introduced to civilizations that were superior in nature,
yes,
it destroyed their inner ethos and
yes, it did.
the center.
Exactly
And these
correct.
civilizations
The
fell.
aliens are coming. I'm starting drinking now.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, Steve, the idea of a visit is ludicrous because the distances involved are way beyond human understanding. The idea that we could actually run into somebody else,
Oh.
I think, is ridiculous.
I've been predicting for a while that soon we humans are going to invent machines that we don't understand, that we can't actually explain how they work. And that's only one tiny baby step to the next thing, which would be that they're going to do things that we don't now imagine are possible.
Yeah.
So I just use logic to make you believe in the impossible.
Well, you know, anytime someone uses the word impossible or improbable or highly unlikely, I understand those words.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of evidence that backs those kind of words up. But all you need is just that one thing.
Oh, I'd love to be proved wrong.
And you're using distances in the sense of how we would traverse. You're both familiar with wormholes and how you can shortcut billions of light years through different modes. And so just because we're looking at it terrestrially and knowing that based on rocket fuel that we use and the way we traverse may be completely different than how others might traverse. So I would be careful.
I'd love to be proven wrong, but the idea of traveling through wormholes and that is... I have to base my thinking on physics, on what we know now.
Okay.
Certainly, new bodies of knowledge can be discovered, new ways of thinking, new models of the universe can emerge. But based on the evidence that we have now, there's no way anything could possibly traverse through a wormhole without being totally, totally destroyed, down to its uttermost particular nature, even those particles being destroyed.
How can you be so
Firm?
vehemently firm in your convictions, knowing full well that we are in our infancy of transportation?
Well, I think
People walk on the bottom
because
of the sea now.
because I think the
Exactly,
other is
yeah.
wishful thinking. There's absolutely no evidence for the contrary to exist.
All right.
Whereas the whole notion of what goes on, though we've never been able to detect it, but the theoretical notion of what happens in a black hole, as we understand physics today, is
Oh, Jerry, it's
destruction.
easy. Look,
It's destruction.
the aliens that are coming, they don't bother with super intricate, complicated tools like we have. They don't even have science. They find they're the most ultimate engineers of all, and they just figure out how to part right through the molecules and do whatever. So all their gadgets are really simple. They have a shoehorn, and they just go shoink, and come right through the wormhole and pop up right behind you,
Well, let's take
which will blow everyone's mind.
let's take a terrestrial example. Before we took to the air with airplanes, we traversed in cars, and before that, horse-drawn buggies and things like that. So we were actually on a one-dimensional kind of transport. When we were able to go to the air, we actually almost became two-dimensional, and now we were able to go above that line and go to point B. Now we're looking at doing a travel that would go up into space and then down. So instead of flying to LA in 3.5 hours maybe today? What's it take to 4 hours to get to LA? If we go straight up and then down, we should be able to get to LA from the East Coast in roughly an hour.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that necessarily is analogous to wormholes. All I'm saying is each form of transport speeds up that process. We just don't know what the next process is.
True enough, and I would love to see some huge advancements made.
But I don't want to hog the whole category. I don't mind talking about the mundane things you guys came up with. Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, Steve. Well, I guess no one's got anything to.
So you got nothing.
I got nothing.
I like machines that we can't understand. I'm gonna stick with that. Because we can't explain some of the things that we are now, like I'm on, Team Ivory Tower and I'm not. But we humans are now discovering things that don't fit our current laws, which work everywhere else, and we can't explain them except by weird analogies. Things that we're now learning. So there's this whole other...
I give you this, Laura. I'll give you this. I could just say you're full of woo or something, but on the other hand...
I'm trying to talk about quantum physics, which is science and woo.
Well,
Don't
here's
be
the thing.
afraid of the woo, Jerry.
The scientific revolution was a new way, Laura, was a new way of understanding the world. It was a dramatic shift in our approach to understanding the world. And it's entirely possible that we can have another shift of understanding the world. I'm totally there. We've gone through various ones in the past, and we could certainly find another layer of understanding that has nothing to do with the scientific method.
It may not.
And I'd be all open for it. And it's entirely possible, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Today I learned that if you pick on Jerry, he comes up with something good.
I come up with something good, whether you pick on me or not. Some people like Steve just don't appreciate it, that's all.
Well, to actually appreciate what you said, if your predictive results are actually worse than you even conjured up, and more species become extinct. I mean, isn't it kind of ironic and poetic that the very thing that we value is life and the earth, and we're doing everything we can simultaneously to destroy it? That is the most bizarro kind of notion, that we love it so much, yet we destroy it at the turn of a hat. It's just bizarro.
Fantastically hypocritical in that regard.
I mean, are we that blinded? Are we that ignorant? It's beyond ignorance. It's stupidity. It's and self-destructive, obviously.
Can I disagree?
Sure, why not? I'd
Sure.
prefer that you do it coherently.
I know you don't like animals anyway, Laura. So
go ahead.
what's the positive
Go
side
ahead,
of
you animal hater.
wiping out the species on the planet?
You guys should be wearing like white veils or something.
You don't see the halo.
No. What is your existence from one day to the next? You eat and you poop, right? So this planet situation you're grieving over is just the exact same thing. You're eating up the resources and you're pooping out something, and that's going to turn into more resources, and you're going to consume them. It's going to go round and round in a cycle, and you're upset about the cycle in which you are a part of.
Well, I'm upset that the
Seriously, I took a further, back up one step further from your gee whiz, what's happening on the planet, back up one more step from that, and you're like, well, what's happening on the planet is what's always happened on the planet, and what evidently makes the planet work. Creation and destruction.
Really?
Yeah?
I beg.
Shiva.
Well,
I mean, your point is beautiful, and you made me feel all bad for a second, but fuck that.
Well, life has been nearly wiped out on the planet a half a dozen times, roughly
of course,
speaking.
Of course.
We're just the agents of it this time around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the difference is that it's one thing for the earth to do what it wants to do. It's another thing if we exasperate the problem by doing human things to speed that process up, and to our own demise.
I understand your point completely.
Okay. All right.
And
Then
I
stop
agree.
arguing.
But that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. Just like
I get it.
yeah, just like we chew up the planet. And I made the point to you before we started here that outdoors is nothing but snow and ice and very little movement in the environment at all. The rivers are frozen and the animals are hiding away somewhere.
Sure.
And
Right.
what is running all over the surface of the ice and the snow and scurrying around and doing things and putting up Christmas trees and sending fireworks over the highway and giant multi-car crashes with acid trucks. Humans.
Mocking calendars on walls.
Human.
We're
just
at it.
busy and we're at it. Don't you kind of admire our pluck here? You know? I started this show by saying like we're all sick freaks, perverts for being here. So I understand your point.
Well, I plead guilty to everything that you just said. I am
I personally set the fireworks on fire.
exactly.
Well, I thought this would be a fun episode, at least.
Sorry.
You know, I thought it would give us a chance to throw a bunch of stuff on the wall
we did.
and see what would stick. I liked it. I thought we had fun. And I think it's Laura's turn next time to pick a topic. So what have you got for us next time round, Laura?
I know what you want to put there in my mouth is food as a topic.
Don't have to.
But I wanted to talk about something much more basic. Let's just try to answer the question, why should we care about anyone else?
Why should so your
Your conundrum.
altruism?
Your conundrum. We live on this planet. It's all we've got. Why are we destroying it? Well, why should we care about anyone else? Why should we?
And that's the
that's the topic.
Okay.
I feel
All right.
that there is
Philosophical?
Right. Well,
I
you're
feel
going to
that
get some
there are-
pushback.
pushback. Oh, like you're going to say, well, we shouldn't care about anyone else?
No, I'm waiting until the next episode. I'm
Okay.
not going to give away my.
All right, okay, yes, I'm sorry.
There's lots of ways that can be
You
handled.
got me talking, and I'll keep it short and exciting for next time. Why give a hoot about anyone?
Well,
All
on
right.
that note, hey, 2015 is here, and I
Yay.
can't wait for the Martians and extraterrestrial.
And I want to say, I do give a
New
hoot.
audience.
Yes, exactly. We'll
I
get-
give a nuanced, discriminating, demanding hoot about everyone else. And that means I love all of you that listen to the polemic pool. If you exist or not.
Oy vey.
All right.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
I was wondering what time it was, man, because I was trying to get a